All right, so Chapter 3, Section 4, couple problems to look at. When determining who's relatively taller in a question like this, what we need to do is compare the z-scores to each group between the men and the women. It doesn't matter who's actually taller, it's relatively taller given some of their information. So, um, we know that the mean for men is 72.5 inches with a standard deviation of 3.2. So what we're going to have to do is compute a z-score. First, a z-score is an x minus mean over standard deviation, whether you're looking at a sample or a population z-score. And it represents the distance that a data value is from the mean. So the number of standard deviations data is from its mean. That's what a z-score is. So if we go back to our problem, let's calculate the z-score for men. So it's a 75-inch man. So we're going to do the x minus the mean. So x is 75 minus the mean. And we get 2.5, and we're going to divide that by the standard deviation of 3.2 for men. So a 0.78 z-score, 0.78 standard deviations above the mean. Do the same thing for women. So our x value is 70, and our mean is 64.3. And then the standard deviation is this 3.9. So we'll divide by the standard deviation. So they're 1.46 standard deviations above their mean. So relatively, this 70-inch woman is taller than is more taller than other women in the 20 to 29-year-old age brackets. She's 1.46 standard deviations above the mean, where the man is only 0.78 standard deviations above the mean. So the woman is relatively taller. Be our choice on something like this. Another one I wanted to look at is number 8 in this section. Determining quartile, interquartile range in the fences. So determine the quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3. That can easily be done in StatCrunch. So let's just go to summary stats over columns. And if I want to know my quartiles, so I have Q1 and Q3, that's my first quartile. My second quartile is Q3. If I want to see what my Q2 is, that's just my median. Again, 50% of my data. And so these would be the breakups. Got to hit which column I wanted to look at. These would be my different quartiles. First quartile, third quartile. This is my second quartile, or the median. The interquartile range is just finding the average distance between our quartiles. Or not the average distance, the distance between our quartiles, the IQR. So from our data that we just had, it's the difference between our Q3 and our Q1. That is our interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1. And determine the upper and lower fences. There's a formula in here that should be to find your lower fence. It's Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. See if I can find that to show you. So there's our interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1. And then to determine outliers, we use notice there the fences, and then the lower fence is Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR, and that upper fence is Q3 plus the 1.5 times the IQR. So we found all that information here. We know what the IQR is, Q3 minus Q1. And so to find the lower, it's Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. To find the upper, you go to your third quartile plus 1.5 times the IQR. One more problem just to look at real quick is number 10. Number 10 is asking you to find the z-scores for each student. And so like student 1 pulse is 76. Again, we know what the mean is. Well, we can compute the mean and standard deviation in StatCrunch. But if you had a whole bunch of z-scores that you were wanting to figure out, here's maybe a suggestion that'll make it go a little quicker. We need mean and standard deviation. Gonna make sure you hit Control to get those up. And so this is my mean is 72.222 and my standard deviation's that number. And so we could, for each one of these, 76 minus the 72.2222 divided by the 8.13. That would be my z-score. I think we should be able to get StatCrunch to do this for us. So I want to take the pulse rates, I want to subtract my mean, which was 72.2222. Let's put that in a parentheses. And then I want to divide it by my standard deviation, which is whatever the number it was. I don't remember what that number was, but let's say it's 6.38, whatever that number was. And we hit OK, and it's going to calculate those z-scores for us. I was way off on the standard deviation, but just divide it by that standard deviation and it will compute all of our z-scores for us. Might be helpful.